Welcome to Larp Academia. Oh, and today I see that you want to learn about warrior. Well, let's dive right into it. As a first level warrior, you need to first have a purple sash. Obviously, you need your good sash to go along with your outfit. The second thing you will need is armor, and well, that's right. I'm putting armor above weapons or basic other equipment that other classes usually require. Now, why is this? Why am I covered pretty much head to toe in armor? Well, it's because as a warrior, you need armor to play a warrior effectively. Other classes don't necessarily need it, but if you don't have armor, it's kind of like asking, if you don't use any magic, why are you playing a spellcaster? It's that important to a warrior. Now, as a warrior, you're able to wear up to 6 points of armor. That's way more than any other class. The most the other classes, Barbarian and Scout, are able to get up to is 3 points of armor. The most that any enchantment is able to give people who don't wear worn armor is 2. You are double that or more. Now, with 6 points of armor, you can have some amazing things happen. Armor breaking that barbarians have, thinking, oh yeah, we can fight any other martial class. Well, it doesn't affect you as badly if you have 6 points of armor. Now, if you have an armor breaking effect hit you, it only matters if you have 3 or less points of armor. That means if I have 6 points of armor, this isn't 6, this is 3 because it's chainmail, but let's say I had 6 on. If it hits me, the first hit, okay, 6 of 5. Second hit, 5 to 4. Third hit, 4 to 3. Last hit, 3 to 0. And then I'm finally wounded on the 5th hit. Now, most classes, well, actually every other class is just, hit with armor breaking and then a wound. So they would take a wound after 2 hits while you take a wound after 5. Armor is amazing. But that's not the only reason why you want armor. Almost all of your abilities are defensive. And a third of your abilities are based on you and your armor. Now, one thing to be aware of is that there are some abilities that are armor destroying. If an armor destroying arrow or spell ball or something hits you in a location, let's say my chest, then my chest armor, chest and back armor, is destroyed, even if I have 6 points of armor, which is a sad day. But there will be some ways that you'll be able to deal with those issues in the future. Now that we've talked about armor and that it is very important and that you should have armor if you play a warrior, and if you don't have armor, I would highly suggest looking at a different class. Then we'll get into your melee weapons. Now, your melee weapons, or your weapons that you get, are all melee. If you can put it in your hand and hit someone with it, cool, you can use it. Poles, daggers, short swords, long swords, whatever works. But you also have this one weird weapon, a weapon that only barbarians get along with you, and that's called a javelin. Now, javelins are small spears. I don't have one to show you, unfortunately, but that's because javelins are a lifestyle choice for some warriors. Warriors who have javelins love it, and warriors who don't have javelins just don't think it's useful. Now, the reason why some warriors love javelins is not because it's useful in melee. This weird weapon you can use in melee. You can poke people and stab with it, but it's a small spear that's not really good at all. Its main use is that you are able to take it and throw it. Now, when throwing a javelin, it turns into a projectile. So it is indestructible and has all the benefits that a projectile has, and its tip is the only thing that can hurt someone. So if its side, brushes against me, it doesn't do anything and has to hit full on in order for it to actually deal any damage. Now, this may not be the best ranged weapon in the world, you're thinking, and you know what? You're right. It's not the best ranged weapon in the world, but it is the only ranged weapon that warriors are able to use. And if you can kill someone before going into melee combat, you're less likely to take damage, and it's generally better overall. Now that we have the weapons covered, we need to cover the shields. A warrior is the only class able to use a large shield. A large shield is a tower shield, one that can go from head to toe and block everything. But I would recommend against using a tower shield. Don't use a tower shield. Don't use a large shield because they're too big. While yes, it may be great if you're with a line of friends and everything else, there's magic in Amtgard. People don't usually line up as well, and tower shields are going to be more of a hindrance to you than to your opponent because it might block vision. It's a little hefty and unwieldy. It's hard to get around. I can't get to any of this side. I can't do any fancy moves. And really, a large shield is not the best you want to go with. A medium shield is great. And the only other class that can use a medium shield is a barbarian. And there is an ability you'll get which makes a lot of barbarians want to play warrior even if they don't have armor, because that ability is almost better than their entire class, at least to those barbarians in their perspective. And we'll talk about that when we get there. But your first level ability that you get is called Scavenge. Scavenge respectively, or as I always like to say it, Scavenge, because it just sounds better. Now, Scavenge is an unlimited, extraordinary ability, which means you can use it with swords and a shield in hand, and you can use it an unlimited amount of times. It is a kill trigger though, so you have to kill someone in melee. Javelin shots that are ranged do not count towards this. Javelin shots in melee do, but any melee attack that would kill someone gives you an instance of Scavenge. This means that if someone goes insubstantial, frozen, or doesn't die because of some stupid thing, you still get Scavenge at least. Now, Scavenge is where you gain a free mend. Now, mend can restore a point of armor to any location. That's great and everything, but it can also repair your equipment. If your shield is destroyed by a destruction arrow after you just killed someone, you can say Scavenge and it's back. And speaking of just killed someone, you don't need to use it just after you kill a person. You can use it up to 30 seconds after you kill someone, and each kill can stack on each other. So if you're about to engage someone, you realize that, oh man, my chest armor's almost all gone and I'm 3 points down, and you've killed 3 people in the past 30 seconds and are more than 10 feet away from an enemy, you can say Scavenge, 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 or Scavenge, Scavenge, Scavenge. Has to be audible up to 20 feet, but you can stack those instances and you can just mend right then and there. Now, I wouldn't recommend trying to hold the count to 30 seconds because it's a little bit much. I would say try to stay around 20 seconds because 30 seconds is kind of pushing it. Since you're trying to engage in melee, you're trying to fight other people, and you with your armor on are the tank that everyone hides behind. You don't hide behind someone else and throw something or try to sneak or cast spells. No, you are the one that they hide behind. And since you're being attacked from all different directions and you're trying to keep track of all your armor points, adding a timer on Scavenge is a little bit much. So I would highly recommend that you only keep track up to around 20 seconds. Even if you're 5 seconds after, you're fine then. Now, that is your first level ability, and we'll talk about Look the Part later at level 4. If you are excited about Warrior and want to learn about all your other abilities that you get, if you actually get an ability that'll affect someone else aside from a defensive ability, then I would highly recommend that you check our article in the description down below. And with that, keep LARPing and keep being a tank so that you'll take on everyone.